Hey everyone, What If Fan here, bringing you another exciting part of What If becoming a mangaka in One Piece world. You can find the fanfic title and the original author's name in the description below. Make sure to check it out and show them some love. If you enjoy the video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring that notification bell so you never miss an upload. Alright, let's jump into it. Chapter 51, 3 months pregnant, Olivia's new role as head waitress. Could it be that little Robin is really starting to move? Rob asked softly as he leaned over Olivia's gently rounded belly. Her stomach, now visibly swelling after 3 months of pregnancy, was a constant reminder of the new life growing inside her. Earlier that day, while working in the Grand Library, Olivia had felt a small, stirring movement from her unborn child. Overcome with excitement, she immediately left her tasks and rushed home, eager to share the news with her husband. When Rob returned from his tiring trip to Sky Island, this heartwarming update was the first thing he learned. The realization that he was soon to be a father, just 6 more months until baby Robin's arrival, filled him with joy. Maybe it's just the early signs of development. Little Robin hasn't fully matured enough to move on her own yet, Rob teased, watching as Olivia's eyes glistened with unshed tears. Sensing her worry, he quickly softened his tone, adding, No, I'm only joking. It's our little Robin, sending her love to both Mama and Daddy. Relieved, Olivia threw her arms around him in an excited embrace as they collapsed onto the bed together. In moments like these, Rob allowed himself to be completely enveloped in her affection, even if it sometimes meant contending with the unpredictable nature of her pregnancy hormones. Ever since she discovered his secret system shop, those chaotic hormones had mixed with her immortal blood in unexpected ways, making her both fiery and determined. Dear, will we have more children after Robin? Olivia asked for the umpteenth time, a question she never tired of hearing answered. Rob, already accustomed to this familiar inquiry, pressed a passionate kiss to her lips before trailing soft kisses along her neck. Of course, he murmured. In the future, our children will fill the seas. We are immortal, and creating little ones will be our greatest joy. Her laughter filled the room as Rob's teasing continued, though she playfully scolded him for being so relentless. You're being cruel, my dear. This tickling is pure torture. Rob grinned. Well, you did say you wanted to see the world flooded with children. But remember, if childbirth turns out to be too painful, we might have to reconsider that grand plan. Olivia's expression grew thoughtful. Though she loved the idea of having a huge family, stories from her friends and the wise Matri had warned her that childbirth was one of life's greatest pains. The very thought made her shiver. Rob raised an eyebrow in surprise at her hesitation. Childbirth is no small feat, he admitted, but with your semi-immortal body, I'm sure you'll handle it far better than any mortal could. Really, she replied with a playful smirk. I said I'd think it over after the baby is born. And by the way, don't go licking there now. I haven't even showered yet. Unperturbed, Rob's mischief continued as he moved closer, his playful antics a daily reminder of how their intimacy kept their relationship vibrant. Between bouts of laughter and teasing remarks about their future, Olivia finally turned serious. I have something to say, husband, will you do it for me? Olivia gazed at Rob with puppy eyes, silently pleading that if he didn't fulfill her request, she might truly break down in tears. I've already pampered you so much, he continued. There's no harm in doing a bit more. Now, tell me, what would you like me to create for you this time? At that moment, the system shopfront materialized before Rob. With a staggering balance of 2,400,450 art points at his disposal, he could choose anything, from new cosmetics and stylish women's clothing to the latest internet terminal. In fact, he had recently acquired a small network terminal from O'Hara, which allowed Olivia and her friends to stay connected in a mini-community reminiscent of a modern Den Mushi. I want a maid outfit just like the one Belmere wears, Olivia declared suddenly. Rob paused in astonishment. In his mind's eye, he pictured Olivia dressed in a striking black and white maid uniform, bunny ears adorning her head, a fluffy tail accentuating her figure, and long, netted stockings that showcased her legs. With a cute, coquettish smile, she asked, How do I look, husband? Am I cute in this maid dress? Rob's face flushed bright red. Husband? What are you thinking? Your face is all red, she exclaimed, half amused and half bewildered. Why do you want a maid's outfit? Asked Rob. Simply because I want to work at your art stores as the head waitress. Not only that, my group of female friends are eager to join, too. There's no need to ask further, I want to enjoy working there just as much as Belmere, Olvia explained confidently. I'm tired of being just an archaeologist. Now that I'm married, archaeology will be my secondary job. Looking after your business is my main focus from now on. With a playful wink that hinted she knew all about his hidden fetish, Olvia sealed her declaration. Rob's eyelashes twitched as he stared at her, completely taken aback by her unexpected seriousness. Chapter 52, What a Dilemma It Is to Have a Pregnant Wife. Dracul Mihawk interacts with the manga. How do I look? Husband, why is your nose bleeding? Olvia looked at Rob in utter bewilderment. She already knew he was excited to see her in such unusual attire. Deep down, she felt an exhilarating thrill. At last, she had found something interesting to tease her mysterious husband. And nothing, it's not blood. And anyway, that outfit you're wearing is so sexy. It really gets me excited. Quickly, Rob wiped the stain from his nose and regained his earnest expression, determined not to lose face in front of his beloved wife. Olvia stood before him in a high-quality maid's dress, far superior to the one he had bought for Belmere. Her pregnancy, the tight-fitting dress, and the extra care she took with her appearance using the items and lotions Rob provided made her the most beautiful woman in the world. In a way, she reminded him of the futuristic Robin from Arc Wayno, albeit with different hair and wardrobe. So you like this dress I'm wearing, what do you call it again? Maid's dress, right? Of course I do. Anything you wear always suits you. Really? You don't mean you have a special liking for this particular outfit? Moving closer, Olvia hugged Rob and whispered seductively into his ear. Rob responded by gently gripping her waist and effortlessly lifting her off the floor. Will you tell me some of those naughty secrets Belmere has shared with you? Yes, I do love this outfit, but I love you even more. You're not allowed to wear such a scandalous outfit in public. Understand? Rob declared in a commanding tone. Het, does that mean I'm allowed to wear it just for you, my esteemed husband? Even though Olvia was 4 years younger than Rob, she was 24 while he was 28, she sometimes felt as though she were the nurturing parent tending to his childlike nature. She knew that at times, Rob behaved like a little boy in need of affection. Of course you can, she replied. I hereby authorize you to wear anything, even the most scandalous, whenever you're with me. You are such a jealous and impudent husband, but I love it. What do you think of this? Is it suitable for work? Olvia asked, now wearing a maid's dress that, while not as form-fitting, still retained the signature charm and cuteness of a maid's outfit. Even though it concealed most of her body, its inherent style made it a masterpiece to behold. You look wonderful, my love, Rob complimented. Does this mean you accept my proposal to work in your store? She inquired playfully. No problem at all, Rob said, adding, but I'm imposing a new rule, anyone who looks at my wife with lustful eyes is banned from my stores for life. Ha! That's a bit too cruelly jealous, dear, she teased. There's no debate about it, he insisted. The next day, Rob accompanied Olvia to meet a group of her friends who were also interested in working at his store. Among them was Matri, the celestial dragon, though only Olvia knew her true identity. The group consisted mainly of married women, with a few younger, unmarried ones, making up a total of 7. Rob accepted them as employees solely at his wife's insistence. The women were ecstatic to work for St. Rob in his revered store. After learning about Belmere, who served as a maidservant for their friend Olvia, they too were eager to work as waitresses and support their families. In this harsh world of One Piece, where ordinary people struggled to live decently, any opportunity was a blessing. Once he formally appointed them, Rob delegated their organization and supervision to Olvia and Belmere, then left for work. Indeed, having a pregnant wife was proving to be quite the dilemma. Ding! Plus 1,000 art points from Dracul Mihawk. What? Came the surprised exclamation. Far away, on an island in the first half of the Grand Line, a young man of about 14 years sat on a massive rock. At the foot of the rock lay numerous severed corpses. A grim reminder of a fierce pirate crew that had once challenged him. Their leader, a formidable swordsman from the Grand Line, had dared to confront Mihawk, the arrogant prodigy who wielded the supreme sword with unmatched pride. Now, that entire crew was nothing more than a memory. Perched on the rock, the young Mihawk, his sharp, eagle-like eyes fixed on a copy of the manga One Piece, recognized that this was the book in which his future self would appear. Yes, that child was Dracula Mihawk. Closing the book in astonishment, Mihawk's face revealed an emotion he had long thought lost, pure wonder and amazement. He never imagined there would be anything in the world that stirred such deep curiosity, yet here it was in his hands. The manga wasn't an original copy, it was a replica he had acquired by chance from a shop known for selling knockoff copies of One Piece, a shop that had recently stirred quite a commotion. Unbeknownst to Rob, his manga were now being pirated and sold across the Grand Line by mysterious parties. In this world of pirates, manga piracy was the least of one's concerns compared to the plights faced by manga publishing companies in his previous world. Of course, Rob could always decide to crack down on it, but was it really necessary? Without these dedicated imitators, he might never have accumulated the extra art points and fame he enjoyed today. So that's me in the future? Have I already fulfilled my dream? Will I become the greatest swordsman in the world? Did I succeed? Mihawk wondered, feeling a mix of dread, astonishment, and even excitement, emotions not entirely foreign to a child like himself, despite his cold and solitary exterior. And I'll have a friend too, Redhead Shanks? I'll remember you. Perhaps this guy will be the only swordsman capable of challenging me in the future. Determined, he vowed, I will double my training from now on. I refuse to let my future define my will. Without even realizing it, Mihawk reopened the manga and glimpsed his future self. He recognized Zoro's design and saw his future wielding a black sword to strike him down. He could hardly believe that his future self had uttered such daring words. I will wait for you to defeat my sword, Roronoa. What the hell is this? So embarrassing, he muttered. Mihawk reread the manga repeatedly, each time finding something new and captivating. No matter how often he saw it, he never grew tired of the vision it presented. I have decided, he finally declared, I will travel to the Four Seas to collect more of these books and seek out the extraordinary person destined to understand my great future. With that determination, Mihawk resolved, unusually, to search for something beyond just a swordsman. He would hunt down more manga books. Chapter 53, The Bravery of an Immortal Man is Not in Vain. I think Mihawk will be the same age as Shanks now. Well, he'll just be another excited kid when he sees himself in the manga. Rob removed the system window and continued on his way, though he was curious about Mihawk's reaction to the manga, a matter he would leave for later. Now, he was heading to Skypiea once again, this time via the art store, which made his journey much easier. He had received word from Gonfall that the devil fruit he desired had already been discovered. Finding a devil fruit in 3 days was an achievement credited to Gonfall and his subordinates. Perhaps the rewards he'd promised were tempting enough to drive the Scythians into a frenzy, even to the point of overturning the entire island of Burka. When Rob arrived at the Ohara art store, he warmly acknowledged his customers' greetings with a gentle smile before disappearing into his private section. From there, he teleported to Angel Island. Emerging from his personal section of the store, Rob was delighted to see Scythians who resembled angels scattered throughout, happily discussing the latest events from the manga. It was only the 3rd day of the store's operation on Angel Island, and its debut had sparked excitement not only here but also on neighboring isles like Burka Island. This was the first store of its kind on Sky Island, earning Rob the distinction of being the first person from the Blue Sea to launch such a project. Regarding the manga's price, Rob had set it at 2,000 extol per volume. Extol, the official currency of the Scythians, was pitifully low when compared to the berry. Determined to help these people, Rob planned to elevate their currency's value, aiming for at least half that of the berry. As a major trade giant, he could easily influence the currency market with a mere gesture. The residents of Sky Island had no trouble purchasing products from the art store, they were both affordable and appealing. After ensuring that everything was in order, Rob proceeded toward Gonfall's residence. Gonfal's title as god was something even Rob, who might be considered a demigod with his immortal body, found a bit embarrassing. At that moment, Gonfal was merely an ordinary man in his 40s. The instant he learned of Rob's arrival, the aura of the Skypiea god faded, revealing him as a humble, ordinary man. He picked up a small box placed beside him, then descended from his throne to enter the majestic guest room. Inside, Rob sat quietly, sipping a cup of tea prepared by a maid whose beauty was almost angelic. Rob couldn't help but notice how much the Skypiea god was enjoying his surroundings. The palace was filled with such celestial beauty that even Rob began to harbor greedy thoughts. If he could become the god of Skypiea, wouldn't all of this be his? Rob quickly set aside his wicked thoughts when Gonfal entered the guest room with a confident smile. "Hello, Mr. Rob. Your return is impressively swift. I expected it would take a few days to get back to Skypiea, but you seem to truly appreciate this place." Gonfal placed the small box on the guest table. Without a word, Rob took the box and opened it. As expected, inside was a blue-colored devil fruit resembling an apple, complete with a small branch shaped like a lightning bolt, quietly resting in the box. "You really found it, and so quickly, I'm frankly amazed." "Ha ha ha, no. If Mr. Rob hadn't pinpointed Burka Island as the location, we wouldn't have been able to locate it so fast. The Burka Island jungle is small enough that even 1,000 knights, searching stone by stone and tree by tree, found it in just 3 days of continuous effort." Despite his words, Gonfal's face beamed with pride over his men's efficiency, a fact that even a formidable man like Rob found surprising. Had it not been for some irritating obstacles that got in our way, we could have found it in even less time. Gonfal's expression turned slightly angry, but in Rob's eyes, he was merely pretending. Rob didn't care much for the pretense, though he did ask about it, already suspecting the truth. It was some outside rebels, the Shandians. When they discovered we were searching for something on Burka, they did everything in their power to obstruct us, delaying the search more than once. As Rob had expected, this fake god was trying to shift blame onto the Shandian resistance. But would Rob allow anyone to exploit him without paying the proper price? What a joke. Mr. Gonfal, truly, it doesn't matter. I'm not angry, in fact, I'm pleased that you managed to find this devil fruit in record time for me. Gonfal's face convulsed momentarily before he returned a friendly smile. "Thank you for your praise, Mr. Rob. As I mentioned before, you have my word. I will invest in many profitable projects here on Sky Island, and I'll also open a fast and safe transportation station between Sky Island and the Blue Sea. I'll announce the station in due course." Rob planned to unveil this mega project as part of the Skypiea arc in the manga, ensuring that the inhabitants of the Blue Sea would no longer remain ignorant of the existence of Sky Island. "I am truly grateful for your efforts, Mr. Rob. Thank the heavens for sending us such a remarkable person. Mr. Gonfal, I have one piece of advice for you: try to take good care of the orphaned and abandoned children on your island to avert a future disaster. By doing so, you might prevent at least half of the potential catastrophe." Rob gestured to the small box he carried. "And especially, ensure that your people do not bully the children. Find Enel on Burka Island, and see to it that he is well cared for." No sooner had he spoken than Rob vanished from the guest room. Enel. Gonfal stood frozen, absorbing Rob's advice. Had Rob insinuated that Gonfal was falling short in his duties as a ruler? Later, Rob stood at Angel Beach, overlooking the White Sea, a secluded spot far from human activity, ideal for reliving his harrowing experiences in peace and without disturbance. Clutching the devil fruit in his hand, excitement surged within him. This was no ordinary devil fruit, it was the lightning fruit. A Logia type, the Garo Garo no Mi. What would happen if a normal person ate 2 devil fruits? Could they possibly explode and die? Rob mused. And what if an immortal person consumed 2 devil fruits? Would he explode and die as well? Although the papered devil fruit bestowed upon him by the divine platform was free of side effects, it remained a devil fruit, and as the system had warned him, consuming another would surely mean his demise. Chapter 54, The Price of Power. The greatest rewards come to the brave. This was Rob's principle in life. Both his first and his second. He had always embraced danger, not just for the rewards, but for the sheer thrill of it. Every perilous challenge was an exhilarating experience, feeding an obsession that once made him one of the most formidable individuals. Now, he faced another deadly trial. He knew he wouldn't truly die, but the agony of death was inevitable. His heart pounded with excitement as he lifted the devil fruit to his mouth. One bite would grant him the power of the Goro Goro no Mi. But for someone who already possessed a devil fruit, the cost was catastrophic. All right. If this works, I'll start publishing Bleach in the stores tomorrow. And I'll create Naruto, One Piece, and maybe even Dragon Ball anime. Taking a deep breath, he bit down. Disgusting. I've never tasted shit, but I swear. His words were cut off as sheer agony erupted through him. His body twisted unnaturally, veins pulsing and muscles contorting. One half of his body crackled with blue lightning while the other turned into fragile sheets of paper, disintegrating like autumn leaves. Arg! A monstrous howl tore from his throat, releasing a terrifying wave of Conqueror's haki. The skies above Sky Island darkened as thunderclouds formed, responding to his overwhelming presence. His body swelled uncontrollably, a chaotic fusion of energy and destruction. The white sea churned violently. Even the mighty sea kings, sensing impending doom, plunged back into the deep. Some, caught in the chaos, plummeted 10,000 meters to the blue sea below, turning into nothing but crimson mist. Then, boom! A catastrophic explosion erupted, sending a shockwave across the sky. Rob's body disintegrated into nothing, no blood, no dust, just pure obliteration. Where he once stood, only two pulsating spheres remained, one of blue lightning, the other of white paper. And then, in a heartbeat, flesh began to weave around them. A ribcage formed, followed by a skeletal frame. Muscles wrapped around bones, golden blood coursed through newly created veins, and in less than a second, Rob was reborn. His black hair cascaded down his back, longer than before. His body radiated vitality, untouched by death. He had achieved true nirvana. Standing in the aftermath of his self-inflicted destruction, he surveyed the devastation. The once solid land beneath him was gone, replaced by an endless white abyss as the white sea seeped through the new chasm. This method of dying. Never again, he muttered. Honestly, why didn't the Marines just feed Kaido another devil fruit? That would have actually killed him. He donned simple summer attire, his chiseled torso exposed, and short pants reminiscent of Ace's. Gazing at his hands, he flexed his fingers, and arcs of tyrannical blue lightning danced at his fingertips. A grin stretched across his face. Ha! I did it! Overwhelming offensive power, that was my missing piece. Now, the world government will finally know fear. Ba dump! Ba dump! Placing a hand on each side of his chest, Rob felt the steady, synchronized beats of his two hearts. His immortal body had adapted, growing a second heart solely for the Goro Goro no Mi, leaving his original one free of the sea's curse. Say ha ha ha. So this is what Blackbeard felt when he got the quake fruit. Incredible! White paper wings sprouted from his back, crackling with blue lightning. Without hesitation, he launched himself downward, piercing through the cloud layers toward the blue sea below. A white and blue flicker, unstoppable, untamed, and reborn. Chapter 55, a new manga emerges, Soul Society and Soul Reapers. Is there room for our own Soul Society? Have you heard the news? One person asked eagerly. News? What news? Came the puzzled reply. Are you living under a rock? Even those who are blind and deaf have heard about it. Sorry, I've been on a fishing trip. Is it something from the art store? Don't tell me I missed a new One Piece volume. No, nothing from One Piece, the weekly update hasn't even come yet. Then what is it? You're really getting me excited. The speaker reached into his bag and pulled out a manga titled Bleach. The cover showed an orange-haired boy dressed in black with a massive sword slung over his shoulder. This? A brand new manga? He stood frozen, astonished, as the reality of the revelation sank in. News of the new manga spread quickly across every island that housed an art store. That morning, a beacon from the art store proudly announced the release of 2 new volumes of Bleach. The announcement ignited a frenzy among manga enthusiasts. Even those fast asleep were roused by the commotion. Rob, the creative mind behind the publication, had chosen Bleach as his second manga project. His decision was twofold. First, because the original manga was complete, he simply needed to illustrate the events as they unfolded in his imagination until the story reached its conclusion. Second, because he believed Bleach was an exceptional work, rivaling even the legendary One Piece. Rob released 2 volumes. Volume 1, the alternate Shinigami arc. Volume 2, Soul Society arc. Upon release, each volume quickly saw 10,000 copies snapped up by fervent fans. In the bustling store tavern, waitresses dressed as elegant maids watched with mixed emotions as the crowd battled for every available copy. For Alvia, Matri, Belmir, and the others who had already experienced Bleach, the excitement was all too familiar. In the village of Syrup, conversations buzzed with excitement. Rukia is so cute. And Orihime Inoue too. Though that rascal Kurosaki is one lucky guy. At that moment, 18-year-old Yasop was completely engrossed in the new manga. Despite his lifelong love for One Piece, after all, his future son was one of its heroes, he couldn't help but be captivated by Bleach. The storyline, strange and intriguing, opened a window into a world that was as awe-inspiring as it was mysterious. The manga hinted at a realm beyond the familiar, a universe of soul societies, otherworldly lives, and hidden possibilities. It evoked the same fascination with extraterrestrial life that gripped the inhabitants of Earth. You bastard, Ichigo! How could you let Rukia be kidnapped? Follow them and bring my Rukia back. Ah, sorry. Benchina, it seems I've found a new love in this life. Yasop mumbled absurdities as he ran his hand over an image of a defiant Rukia glaring at Ichigo. At that moment, he fancied that her scowl was directed at him. Suddenly, an angry female voice snapped behind him. Ha! What did you say? Speak up. Startled, Yasop's face drained of color. He hastily closed the manga volume and spun around, attempting to explain. Oh, Benchina? No, I meant it's a wonderful day to enjoy a romantic outing with my dear Benchina. Though not yet married, their relationship was as close as that of lovers. Elsewhere, amid a flurry of activity, Professor Clover rallied his team in the Grand Library. Everyone! Quick, bring out all our historical manuscripts. Today, we're diving back into history. Come on, why the delay? The world is vast, and we have barely scratched the surface of its mysteries in the past century. No more of this empty century nonsense. From now on, we will search for clues about the Soul Society, Shinigami, and Hollows. Dig out every abnormal record in history that defies explanation. Perhaps they are connected to the Soul Society. Since reading the new Bleach manga, Professor Clover and his crew had become consumed by the mystery of the Soul Society. In their world, where life and death reigned, they began to wonder, could there be a realm where souls reside after death? A place where, with the mastery of spiritual energy or Ryatsu, mortality itself might one day be defied. High above, on a majestic throne that seemed to command the entire world, a shadowy figure lounged in the dark. Even in the dim light, the elegant curves of this mysterious ruler could be discerned. Clutched in one hand was a manga depicting Kurosaki Ichigo transformed into a Shinigami, locked in combat with a hollow. The figure's enigmatic gaze and cryptic smile hinted at deeper secrets yet to be revealed. Thus, the release of Bleach not only brought joy to countless manga fans but also stirred profound questions about the nature of existence and the possibility of an unseen world beyond life. Chapter 56, The Success of the New Manga Across the Four Seas, Big Mom and the Art Store. South Blue, Batarilla. Knock. Knock. Rouge opened the door of her house and was surprised to see a group of women dressed as maids. However, her attention quickly focused on the white-haired woman at the front, who exuded an air of leadership. Hello, are you going to leave your friend at the door? Alvia asked with a smile as she adjusted the glasses she had recently started wearing. Sorry for my manners. Please, come in, Rouge replied, stepping aside to welcome them. Inside the cozy guest lounge, the group Alvia, Matri, Rouge, and Belmire sat comfortably, engaged in lively conversation. Their discussion revolved around the latest manga that had taken the world by storm, Bleach. Rouge had read it as well and, like everyone else who had immersed themselves in its pages, found herself fascinated by the futuristic world it depicted. The conversation naturally veered toward the concept of Shinigami and the mysteries of the Soul Society. Yet, there was another reason for Alvia's visit. Rob had not forgotten why he had established an art store on Batarilla Island. After receiving double art points from Rouge upon publishing the Logtown volume, he had been left with a lingering sense of unease. He never dared to face Rouge directly again, so he sent Alvia to extend an invitation on his behalf and offer for Rouge to join their group and work as a waitress in his stores. He hoped that, over time, he could change any negative perception she had of him and perhaps even gain her favor. More than that, however, Rob sought to pull Rouge out of her lonely solitude. After all, she was the wife of his former captain, Roger, and Roger had tasked him with looking after her. At first, Rouge had been inclined to refuse Alvia's offer outright. She harbored resentment toward Rob, who seemed intent on reminding her of her husband's death through his manga. Though she didn't outright hate him, she couldn't deny the bitterness she felt. However, after careful consideration, she accepted the offer. If she stayed close to Rob, perhaps she could uncover the truth behind everything much faster. With that, the art store welcomed yet another remarkable waitress. South Blue, Karate Island, Art Store. In this bustling store, two legendary figures of the future crossed paths, one of whom caused an immediate uproar the moment he entered. This, unbelievable? Isn't that impossible? Maybe he's just one of those fake characters, the new generation who call themselves cosplayers? Are you blind? No, even if you are blind, you can regain your sight in the holy store. Look at those eagle-like eyes. Despite the unmistakable signs of youth and inexperience, the same sharp intensity was there. Sword. Look at the sword on his back. It's the black sword Yoru, no doubt about it. Exactly as it was drawn in the manga. It's Dracul Mihawk in his youth. A wave of shock and awe swept through the store as Mihawk was recognized by One Piece fans. Even Mihawk himself, usually cold and aloof, felt uneasy under the weight of so many astonished gazes. He wanted to declare, "Yes, I am Dracul Mihawk, the future greatest swordsman in the world," but his pride held him back. He had not yet earned that title. At that moment, a young man with scars over his eyes, engrossed in reading Bleach, looked up. He blinked, his eyes, recently restored by the holy store, taking in the sight of the teenage Mihawk beside him. He, too, was stunned. The man was none other than Isho, the future admiral. For a brief moment, Mihawk regarded Isho with awe, sensing his overwhelming strength. Then, without a word, he took a seat and began reading the volumes he had purchased. Isho chuckled in amazement and returned to his manga. Life was full of surprises. Shinigami, Ryatsu, and incredible sword techniques. This is a treasure for a swordsman like me. What an extraordinary world for swordsmen. Could Ryatsu be a type of hockey? Young Mihawk was filled with curiosity and excitement as he finished reading Bleach. A whole new world had opened before him. He was captivated. Bleach was a world dominated by strong swordsmen, a swordsman's paradise. The mere thought of battling a Shinigami ignited his fighting spirit. Interesting. East Blue, Fusha Village, Art Store. Chew. Swallow. That is interesting, but I want more of the book about my grandson. Should I go on a new chase for Roger's crew and capture that author from his crew to get it? Garp, despite finding the new manga intriguing, didn't consider it as thrilling as his grandson's adventures. He wanted more stories about Luffy and, of course, more of the delicious cakes from the Holy Store's vending machines. Hey, you brat, go get me more chocolate cake. Can't you see I've finished mine? He kicked his son, Dragon, who was deeply immersed in reading Bleach, toward the vending machine. You! This is the 20th time you've suddenly kicked me. Do you think I'm your servant, old man? Pay with your own money if you want to eat. North Blue, Germa Kingdom, Art Store. An unusual pirate ship docked at the harbor of the Germa Kingdom today. A statuesque woman disembarked, her graceful yet overwhelming presence causing the ground to tremble beneath her feet. The sight alone sent waves of panic through the harbor. Dear gentlemen. This pier doesn't accept pirate ships. Please use the island's back pier. A trembling dock worker stood in their path, his presence akin to that of a mouse standing before a lion. The reason? The woman leading the group was a towering giant, standing over 8 meters tall. Beside her, a dark red-haired young man, nearly 2 meters shorter but still incredibly tall, stood with a commanding presence. The rest of their crew was no less imposing. Ha! Are you telling us to turn back? Mama, shall I send this fool to hell for daring to block our way? Mama. I'm in a good mood today, so it's fine. The infamous Big Mom pirates continued forward. The moment they disappeared from sight, those at the dock collapsed unconscious, foam forming at their mouths and their eyes rolling back in terror. As the Big Mom pirates approached the art store, something bizarre happened. Those who were over 2 meters tall shrank to a more manageable size. The phenomenon left them speechless. Witnesses gawked in astonishment, burning the sight into their memories as something to share later. It was as incredible as the blind regaining their sight in the store. Charlotte Lean's boisterous laughter echoed as she took in the magical surprise. But more than anything, her expectations for the delicious food inside soared. Chapter 57, Amazon Lily Island. Storming the Empress's bathroom. Big Mom's wild laughter echoed through the art store as she monopolized the food vending machine, but no one inside paid her any attention. She could do whatever she wanted as long as she didn't break the store's rules. That was the norm for anyone here. No matter a person's identity, they would be kicked out the moment they crossed the line. While Big Mom happily devoured the most delicious sweets from Earth, her sons carefully inspected the art store. They had come with 2 objectives: first, to take over the store if possible, and second, if force was not an option, to negotiate the rights to obtain one from Rob. The Vinsmoke family was nothing more than an afterthought to them. If the person behind this art store weren't somehow connected to the Roger Pirates, they would have already seized the store by force and perhaps even taken control of the Germa Kingdom in the process. Male or female, the Charlotte family members were drawn to the manga volumes of One Piece and Bleach, eagerly purchasing copies. Roger, the Pirate King? What a joke! My mom is going to be the Pirate Queen. That was Charlotte Katakuri's reaction upon reading the first page of One Piece. Ding! Plus 1,500 art points from Charlotte Katakuri. Ding! Plus 900 art points from Charlotte Oven. Ding! Plus 890 art points from Charlotte Cracker. Ding! Plus 4,000 art points from Charlotte Lin. As Rob soared through the sky at a speed too fast for the naked eye to follow, intriguing notifications reached his ears. A grin spread across his face. It was interesting how quickly the future Yonko pirates had been drawn to his creations. Rob was already well informed about world events. The Big Mom pirates had formed years ago and were considered one of the strongest crews. If not for the dominance of Roger, Whitebeard, and Shiki, they would have been the most feared pirate crew in the New World. Now that they had fallen into his grasp, Rob considered how best to use them. He knew of Big Mom's obsession with food, a weakness he could exploit to manipulate her like a tame puppy. The idea excited him, but he wasn't foolish enough to believe he could control a powerhouse like Big Mom so easily. Well, I'll give it a shot later. For now, I've already reached my destination. At this moment, Rob was in the Grand Line. He had departed from Little Garden, but not before enjoying another dinosaur meat feast with the 2 enthusiastic giants who refused to let him leave so easily. Since the appearance of the art store on their island, Broggy and Dory had been living in bliss. Feasting on delicious food, drinking the finest beverages, and eagerly reading Rob's weekly manga releases. To them, Rob was the best human friend they had ever made. Grand Line, calm belt. With no wind resistance in the area, Rob's speed increased even further. All that could be seen were streaks of blue lightning flashing through the sky, disappearing in the blink of an eye. At lightning speed, he nearly crossed the entire first half of the Grand Line in just an hour. Boom! Rob crash-landed into a dense forest on an island in the middle of the calm belt. The women of this island don't like men, but what about a handsome guy like me? Heh, they'll gladly accept me. A few moments later. Who are you? One more step and you'll be bombarded with arrows. This island doesn't accept men. Leave at once. Rob. He looked up at the group of fierce women glaring down at him from atop a massive city gate, as if he were some kind of alien. Have you never seen a man before? For the first time, Rob felt a blow to his confidence. His dazzling good looks had completely failed him. And what does that have to do with you? Leave now, or you'll regret it. This is a sacred land for women, and we do not tolerate the presence of filthy males. These female guards were far more aggressive than their future counterparts, who hadn't even recognized Luffy as a man at first. The difference between their reactions was like night and day. Damn it, why didn't I wish for Luffy's plot armor? Was I that stupid back then? No need to be so hostile, ladies. I'm a renowned business investor from the outside world. I came here to open a shop. I'm sure it'll be very beneficial to you. We don't need anything from disgusting men. If you don't turn back now, I'll shoot my arrow, and trust me, it won't be as gentle as you think. Rob shifted his gaze to the fierce-looking leader of the guards. She had blonde hair, an elegant figure, and an undeniably attractive physique. For a moment, he had the urge to knock this fiery woman down and teach her a lesson in humility. Upon closer inspection, she looked exactly like a future member of the Kuja Pirates, Marguerite. Could she be Marguerite's mother? Damn! Who's the lucky bastard that got this lioness pregnant? Crackling blue lightning sparked from Rob's eyes as his overwhelming conqueror's haki surged through the air, freezing the female guards in place. Their blood ran cold with shock. Without another word, Rob walked past them and entered the kingdom of Amazon Lily. He had no time to waste on a group of brainwashed women. I bet meeting the current empress is the fastest way to make these naughty girls obedient. In an instant, his body transformed into a flash of lightning, vanishing from sight. When he reappeared, he was standing atop the empress's palace roof. I'm lucky. Someone's already in the bathroom downstairs. I wonder what would happen if I copied Luffy's way of getting in. Boom! Rob crashed through the ceiling, sending splashes of bathwater flying in all directions. The steamy mist thickened around him. And then... Kya! Just as Rob had expected, chaos ensued. Chapter 58, System Level 9 Unlocked. The art store arrives at Amazon Lily. I'm sorry, beautiful lady, I've apologized enough times already. The current empress of Amazon Lily glared at Rob, her face flushed red. Whether it was from anger or embarrassment, no one could tell. Why you? You broke into this empress's bathroom and think a mere apology will solve this matter? You saw my entire naked body. A man has seen me unclothed. What will my people say if they find out? The empress of Amazon Lily at this time was Gloriosa, later known as Nyan Ba. Unlike her future self, the aged elder in the original story, she was now a strikingly beautiful woman with a mature, curvaceous figure. Her pink hair and facial features bore an uncanny resemblance to the future empress, Boa Hancock. If Rob had to guess her age, he'd say she looked to be in her 20s, but in reality, she was already 38. When he first saw her bathing, he could hardly believe that this stunning woman would one day become the old crone from the original timeline. Damn Oda. Ha? Who is this Oda you're cursing? And don't think you can escape punishment so easily. He's the man known for destroying beauty. Someone as beautiful as you should remain eternal, sweetie. I'll transform into Sanji just for you. You? Gloriosa's face turned an even deeper shade of red. No man had ever spoken to her like this before. This intruder was beyond rude. After a bit of teasing, Rob quickly sobered up. He remembered that he had a wife who would make his life miserable if she ever found out about this situation. He didn't want to risk getting shot by the airsoft guns LWRCM-6 he had bought for Olivia. That would be an ironic punishment. Miss Empress, I sincerely apologize again for the incident. I have come here to open a business on your island, and I hope you will accept my offer. As if I would accept an offer from a pervert man like you. Rob. Alright, bye then. Without another word, Rob slipped out of the bathroom the same way he had entered, leaving the naked Empress staring in confusion at his retreating figure. You damned man. Her thoughts were a jumbled mess, as if she had just suffered an emotional shock. She curled her body into a ball, sinking deeper into the water, regret slowly creeping into her mind over how quickly she had rejected him. Rob regretted not lingering longer to enjoy the breathtaking view, but the image of her body was now permanently recorded in high-definition quality within his photographic memory. Especially those ample curves adorned with pink nipples, like cherries atop a cake. Standing on a massive rock pillar at the Amazon lily border, Rob observed the bustling city below, where countless women roamed. A victorious smirk formed on his face as he whispered to himself. Hee hee, as if I'd give up just because you said no. Do you want to open an art store in this location? System level 9, 700-450/1 500-000 for next upgrade. Plus 0-dimensional art store, 100-dimensional stores are the upper limit for the lowest 10 levels. Art stores available, 22/100. Before opening the store, Rob took a moment to review the two incredible features he had unlocked at levels 8 and 9. He always revisited these features to admire their sheer overpowered nature. Unlocked feature at level 8, Evil Isolation. Evil Isolation, you can revoke previous features, such as Divine Protection, from anyone who does not meet your criteria. Unlocked feature at level 9, Forum Bracelet. Forum Bracelet, customers who purchase at least 10 items from your store, manga, food, drinks, or private room rentals, will receive a high-tech communication bracelet, granting them access to a global forum where they can discuss your art. You, the host, will be the administrator, with full control over its organization before the feature is officially activated. This new feature posed a bit of a challenge. Millions of people across the world met the requirement, but managing such a large community was no small feat. Rob decided to divide the chat into 3 forums. Local forum, residents of the same island could communicate freely. Regional forum, residents of the same sea could interact with each other. Global forum, the entire world could chat, but with a restriction of 1 message per person per day. He also imposed a limit of 2 messages per day in the regional forum, while the local forum remained unrestricted. After finalizing these settings as the forum administrator, Rob refrained from activating the feature immediately. The moment he did, it would undoubtedly attract the attention of the world government. He needed to strategize carefully before making his next move. If he played his cards right, the title of king of the world wouldn't be far from his grasp. Social media was an immensely powerful tool, and now, Rob had it in his hands thanks to the system. He had been trying to introduce internet technology into this world, but this feature had made things much easier. The bracelet on his wrist suddenly vanished, disappearing into thin air as if it had never existed. This was the administrator's forum bracelet he had obtained upon reaching level 9. This is ridiculously convenient. Now then, system, open a new art store at my designated location. As soon as he issued the command, the familiar phenomenon unfolded before his eyes. A Terran space appeared in the middle of Amazon Lily, causing a ripple of confusion among the island's warriors. A futuristic-looking building materialized out of nowhere, leaving the gathered women stunned. What is that? A building? How did it just appear out of nowhere? Art store? A place where you can enjoy the future. After finishing his work, Rob disappeared from Amazon Lily Island, leaving the people to slowly get accustomed to his store. Their initial rejection would soon turn into complete addiction. Once they couldn't live without his manga, he would return and reveal himself as the store's owner. Then, they would see if they had the courage to reject him again. A mischievous smirk formed on Rob's face as he vanished with each step like a bolt of lightning. His next destination? Time to stir up some more trouble. Chapter 59, The Boldest Merchant in History. Rob emerged above the red continent, his gaze sweeping across the vast landscape below. The journey to the end of the first half of the Grand Line had been swift, and from his vantage point, he could clearly see Marineford resting in the distance. However, Marineford was not his destination today. Activating the stealth capabilities of the paper fruit, Rob seamlessly blended into the surroundings like an invisible chameleon. Without hesitation, he accelerated toward his true target, the Holy Land of the Celestial Dragons, Mangaka. Yes, Rob had come to the very heart of corruption. And he had the audacity to establish an art store in the Celestial Dragon's sacred domain. Navigating through the immense terrain of the Red Continent, Rob quickly infiltrated the Celestial Dragon's domain. Anticipation coursed through him. If he could ensnare the Celestial Dragons in the allure of his manga, they would become dependent on him. If their so-called gods fell under his spell, half the threat of the world government would be neutralized. With his powerful observation haki, Rob evaded all detection, bypassing the elite guards of the world government with ease. As he delved deeper into the domain of the gods, his eyes briefly flickered toward the imposing Pangea castle at the heart of Mangaka. He dared not get too close. That castle housed the 5 elders and, more importantly, the enigmatic being known as Emu. Perhaps in this world, only Rob and the 5 elders were aware of Emu's existence. Tearing his gaze away, he pressed forward. Yet, unbeknownst to him, the abyss was already staring back. In a secluded garden adorned with vibrant flowers and fluttering butterflies, a lone figure stood, draped in an elegant black cloak that resembled a regal gown. This enigmatic presence strolled leisurely, as if lost in thought. Then, in an instant, red eyes gleamed with intrigue. Those piercing eyes, shrouded behind a pristine white mask marked only with a single question mark, seemed to penetrate beyond walls and barriers, locking onto Rob's hidden form. Their crescent-shaped gaze hinted at amusement, a silent acknowledgement of the visitor's arrival. "You've finally come." Unaware of the unseen observer, Rob pressed on, his heart heavy as his senses detected countless enslaved souls. The sheer number of captives confirmed what he had long suspected: the celestial dragons had indeed enslaved the world. A storm of emotions swirled within him, but he forced himself to suppress his desire to act. Now was not the time for heroics. His priority was the mission at hand. An ominous unease settled over him, stemming from the moment he had glanced at Pangea Castle. His instincts screamed danger, urging him to leave as quickly as possible. He never ignored his instincts. "Do you want to open an art store in this place?" "Yes." "Open." Reality trembled. The sudden shift in space sent tremors rippling through the nearby celestial dragon palaces, alarming the elite aristocrats. World government agents immediately scrambled into action, shielding their so-called divine rulers as if their very lives depended on it. But within seconds, the spatial disturbance ceased. Silence followed. The agents remained on high alert, their paranoia refusing to fade. Once it became apparent that no immediate threat loomed, murmurs arose among the noble class. The celestial dragons, still ensconced in their palaces, perked up at the sound of their fellow aristocrats stirring outside. Within minutes, a crowd had gathered around the newly manifested art store. Drawn by an irresistible force, celestial dragons, their slaves, and their guards converged upon the mysterious establishment. The presence of the store beacon was undeniable. It enticed all who laid eyes upon it. As for Rob, he was nowhere to be found. The moment the store had materialized, he had vanished into the teleportation room, retreating to observe events from afar. His mission was complete. Now, he would wait and watch. The grand doors of the art store creaked open, inviting its first visitors. But before anyone could enter, black-clad celestial dragon guards barred the way, their expressions tense with suspicion. Immediately, they contacted World Government Headquarters, demanding urgent reinforcements. A grotesquely bloated celestial dragon, his face twisted with arrogance, emerged from the crowd. Seated atop a beautiful woman, whom he used as a human mount, he sneered and gestured toward a trembling male slave. "You filthy creature, go inside and tell us what's there." His fellow celestial dragons erupted into applause at his so-called brilliance, ordering their own slaves to join in the forced celebration. Their guards made no attempt to intervene. As long as their masters remained unharmed, they were indifferent to the fates of mere slaves. Like soulless husks, the enslaved men and women shuffled forward toward the store's entrance. Their lives were so bleak that they longed for the abyss. If death awaited them beyond those doors, it would be a mercy. Yet none among them knew that what lay beyond those doors was not hell, but salvation. Chapter 60, Chaos in Marigoa. Imu's gaze followed Rob as he conjured the mysterious building and disappeared inside. The moment Rob entered, Imu could no longer see him. Their expression darkened. No matter how hard they tried, their vision could not penetrate the art store's walls. Interesting. No, this surpasses my expectations. Their voice was like a whisper in a dream. In the blink of an eye, Imu vanished from their spot as if they had never been there. They reappeared precisely where Rob had stood moments ago, right before entering the art store. Celestial dragons had already gathered around the structure, their curiosity and arrogance on full display. However, none of them seemed to notice Imu, as if they did not exist. For the first time in a long while, unease crept into Imu's heart. This building, this so-called art store, had the power to block even their sight. That alone made it a dangerous anomaly. And then, the celestial dragons ordered their slaves to step inside. Rob had already escaped. He now stood in the teleportation room of the little garden art store, preparing his next move. He summoned the storefront for Marigoa, making critical adjustments before its official launch. For the celestial dragons, he set the price of a single manga volume at 1 million berries. Since they hoarded wealth beyond imagination, there was no reason to be generous. He also inflated the prices of food, drinks, and other products to absurd levels, knowing full well they would still buy without hesitation. But that was only the beginning. Rob implemented a secret function. The moment a slave stepped into the store, they would receive a recorded voice transmission from him. The message contained something shocking, something that would change their lives forever. Though skeptical at first, they would soon believe it. More importantly, the instructions given in the transmission would lead them toward escape. To aid them, Rob allowed slaves to take items from the store for free. As the store's owner, he had absolute control over its rules, making him an omnipotent force within its walls. Additionally, he activated a new feature unlocked at System Level 8 Evil Isolation. This ability targeted the celestial dragons exclusively, negating all store benefits for them. Divine Protection? Disabled. Manga Restoration? Cancelled. However, abilities acquired inside the store, like regaining lost sight, remained functional. Once the modifications were complete, Rob dismissed the storefront and moved to his next target. The game was far from over, and he was eager to witness the reactions of the 5 elders and their master. Back in Marigoa, panic and excitement spread among the celestial dragons like wildfire. They had flooded into the art store, indulging in its wonders. The exorbitant prices did not deter them. In fact, they only heightened their enthusiasm for shopping. The slaves who returned from inside spoke in odd whispers, amplifying the store's prestige and enticing more nobles to enter. The art store had become the ultimate source of entertainment for these arrogant overlords. Meanwhile, deep within Pangea Castle, the 5 elders had received the news. And they were furious. Once again, Rob had humiliated them. Unlike the ignorant celestial dragons, the 5 elders immediately recognized the art store's significance. The fact that it had materialized in the very heart of Marigoa could mean only one thing. That damnable Rob had infiltrated their domain, set up his store, and escaped completely undetected. This was an unforgivable blow to their pride. Had Lord Imu not intervened at the last moment, forbidding reckless action, they would have declared an emergency buster call. Once their initial fury subsided, they vanished from their meeting chamber, reappearing in the public square near the store. This sudden movement confirmed something crucial. At least one of them possessed a space-based devil fruit and wielded it with terrifying precision. As they observed the scene, disgust filled their hearts. The celestial dragons, supposedly the pinnacle of humanity, had become mindless fools, enthralled by some trivial game. And now, the elders understood exactly why Rob had chosen this location. Yay! This book is amazing. Father, I want to join the Straw Hat Pirates and go on adventures. A child's excited voice rang through the store, Saint Njosgard's son, of all people. By sheer coincidence, the same child had once nearly drowned in the depths of the sea, only to be rescued on Fishman Island. Pirates are nothing but scum. Do you want to be scum? You're a celestial dragon, not some filthy pirate. But father, their adventures look so fun. No buts. Similar arguments played out across the store as many celestial dragons, captivated by the manga's allure, voiced their desires. Meanwhile, the guards stood frozen, horror etched into their faces at the sight of their lords behaving so human. And the slaves? For the first time in their lives, they felt something they had never known before: hope. That wraps up this part of What If Becoming a Mangaka in One Piece World. Thanks so much for listening. As always, new parts drop every 4 days, so be sure to stay tuned. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like, subscribe, share it with your friends, and please consider supporting the original author as well. See you in the next one.